All right. Welcome in again to another edition of Musings from the Mountains, video podcast presented by WVSports.com. I'm Keenan Cummings, managing editor.
And I'm Patrick Kotnik, staff writer.
You might notice we're back in the back cave. Humble beginnings here.
Humble beginnings.
Beginnings. We're back.
On a lot of episodes here.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Let's jump into hoops straight. West Virginia, another big win, and it's kind of a full circle type win last night over TCU. You know, West Virginia, January 15th in 2019 was probably the low point of a season full of low points. West Virginia was embarrassed at TCU. They gave up 98 points, got beat by 30 plus in a game that, you know, West Virginia was kind of exposed. They didn't hustle. They were standing around a lot. It led to Bob Huggins, his next wave of "I'll fix it" comments. It was just an embarrassing defeat. You look almost a year later.
Night and day.
It's almost reversed. You know, West Virginia absolutely handled TCU. Beat them by 30-some points or right at 30 points and handled their business. You know, this is a team that has played absolute suffocating defense. And that was on display last night against the top three-point shooting team in the Big 12. You look at West Virginia over their 3 wins, you know, over the past, week and change.
Yeah.
West Virginia held teams to 48 points on average. They're shooting 30% from the floor and 20% from three.
Well, I mean, overall, it's just been a total team effort for West Virginia. You mentioned, their suffocating defense. This team has been playing outstanding defense all season. But I really felt like last night it was against TCU. It was really just a total team. I mean, it was a total team effort. But they really brought it all together for the first time, I feel like, all year. I mean, really, I felt like this team was really carried by their defense. Offense, they still turned the ball over. Still were missing a lot of shots, but really last night, they shot 58%, from the floor. Really, I thought it was really the first game they really truly put it all together, both on the offensive end and defensive end on the floor.
I'd go past that. I think last night was their best offensive performance of the year, and numbers would back that up. That's the first time West Virginia shot 58% from the floor since 2017. First time they've done it in a conference game since they played at Rutgers way back in 2007. So if you can do the math there, this is the first time West Virginia shot over 58% or better in a Big 12 game. I think that speaks to a lot of it was passing. I think they did a really good job moving the ball around more than they have. The ball didn't stick. They were finding guys when they were getting open, getting the ball underneath, a lot of extra pass last night. 20 assists on 30 made baskets. I think that stat alone says a lot about where West Virginia was offensively. Can they keep that up? That remains to be seen. You're not going to shoot 58% every night, obviously. But if you can get a lot of those same looks, guys start to hit some step-in shots. Sean McNeil. Welcome back, Sean McNeil. He was 0 for 7 coming into last night in the new year. 0 for 9, actually. Missed his first 2 shots, made the next 3 of 4. So you get him going. You maybe get Taz Sherman going with what you're getting from Chase Harler and Miles McBride.
Well, I mean, this team is just deep. I mean, let's just face it. I mean, they have a ton of depth, and that's been able to, they've been able to wear teams down the stretch. And it just seems to be someone new every week. We saw Jermaine Haley finally, have a pretty decent game after a little slump there. Sean McNeil didn't make a basket in the previous 3 games before the TCU game. It's really somebody new. Every game it seems like that is stepping up, but then they also have enough depth on their bench to wear teams down.
Yeah, and I think that depth's critical. Jamie Dixon mentioned that last night in postgame.
Total team effort.
Yeah, TCU they just have so much depth. They keep throwing it at you. It's not press Virginia, but it's suffocating half-court defense. Number 1 ranked defensive efficiency in KenPom. They're holding teams to, I think, number 2 nationally. Field goal percentage, number 2 in three-point percentage. So you name it at every level, it's just it strangles you in a sense. They play half-court defense, they switch, they're able to handle it at all 3 levels, and they're not giving anybody open looks. They're contesting things, not to the liking of Bob Huggins quite yet, but I think that's his job is to continue to push his guys. But you look at every metric, and West Virginia's been absolutely phenomenal on defensive end, and I think a big reason for that, or at least a big part of that, is what you get out of Gabe Osabuoye. Yeah. Last night, I've covered West Virginia for 10-plus years. And I don't think I've ever seen a guy get a round of applause, standing ovation, the way he did. He left the game, played 17 minutes, hadn't scored a single point. But people could pick up on what he's doing. When it comes to passing, he's probably your best entry passer on the entire roster. Defensively, it goes without question what he does. Guy was plus 28 last night. Plus 28.
Highest scoring.
Highest on the team. He scored 3 points. 3 points.
3 points.
Yeah, he scored those 3 points after he came back into the game, obviously. But still, 3 points. What he did do, though, 5 assists. I think it was 3 steals, 3 charges taken. He's everywhere. He gets his hands on the ball, deflections. I mean, one of the highlights of the game, if you were watching, is late in the first half, he forced a turnover, forced a travel, but he was upset that it wasn't called a charge just because that's kind of how he is.
And that speaks volumes too to just I would say just to team chemistry in general. I mean, it's, that's another thing that Huggins has said is night and day from last year to this year. There's really no jealousy within the team, and they all get excited for each other. He mentioned how Derek Culver, about 4 minutes left, told Huggins to put the rest of the guys in. And you see the few times that Spencer Mackey, the walk-on freshman, has played. He's appeared in about 2 or 3 games this year. You see how excited his teammates get on the bench and everything. And but it's not just that too. It's whenever there's a big dunk, a big steal, see those guys celebrating off the bench. I mean, it's really refreshing to see. Just a kind of a total revamp in their team chemistry from last year to this year.
Yeah, West Virginia's 14-2 now. They're 1 win away from matching their entire total from last year. Number 9 in the net rankings. That's very important. Number 12 in the major polls. I think their strength of schedule now is number 8. They have 9. 9 of their 13 wins are quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. You'd be hard-pressed to find much more resumes out there that are going to be that impressive at this stage of the season. West Virginia goes to Kansas State next. Kansas State's winless in the league, so it'll be an interesting matchup from that perspective. Can West Virginia keep the momentum going? Can this team handle success? We'll see. So far, they have. One thing they really do need to get going, though, is Emmett Matthews. He's struggled of late. Over his last 6 games, he's 4 for 26. Taking about 4.5 less shots per game, too. So I think that kind of speaks to, I know he's denied it, said it's not an issue. But confidence has to be something you consider there. Mm-hmm. He's not looking to take as many shots. He only took 1 shot against TCU, and that was when the shot clock was running down. So you got to find a way to get him going. He's had games this year where I think 6 or 7 games already where he's made at least 4 baskets. Mm-hmm. So you need him to kind of get out of this 4 for 26 slump he's in. Because when he's playing well and when Jermaine Haley's playing well, this offense as a whole is playing well. Really impressive, though. I mean, what more can you say about what Bob Huggins has done? This is a complete turnaround. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people expected things to get better. I think you'd be lying if you said you expected things to be this much better. This is the best defensive team under Bob Huggins, which is crazy to say how good, but every metric says that. So right now, enjoy the ride. There's still a lot more left. This season's far from done.
Still plenty of basketball.
Yeah, there's plenty of basketball left. He mentioned last night, they're good, but if you want to be great, you got to do those little things. They got to get more
free throws,
more crisp rotations, challenging more consistently on shots. Doing those things that really kind of like Gabe Osabuoyen does. Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest. Looking ahead to recruiting, flipping the script here, the dead period is up. Well, it'll be up here in another day. That means visits. West Virginia is set to host some Junior Day visits this coming weekend. Maybe an official visit. Right now, I haven't received any word on that, but keep an eye out. It's the time of the year for official visits to pick back up. West Virginia still has 3 slots, 4, depending on what happens with Jake and Gamble in the 2020 class. They'll have a full allotment right now for 2021. Expect things to start moving. They brought in guys a lot. Some guys have visited 4, some guys have visited 5 times. So they're trying to get guys on campus, expose them to the program, and really kind of let them know what West Virginia football is about. We'll talk about some of the staff changes, as you all know, in our next edition. Kind of get into how that's going to work and take your questions. But thanks for tuning in. This has been another fun-filled edition of Musings from the Mountains, back from the old Bat Cave. See you soon.